get out there and fail fast. Being a student,
Right.
And just getting out, don't be scared, meet with people, and just know you're going to mess up, and then you're going to learn. Go wait tables, and you'll understand you'll start learning how people are and how they react to certain things. If you're slow, you're going to get a smaller tip.
Right.
If you give great service and you communicate, then you're going to get a better tip.
Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome back to another episode of The Path Forward. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Rick Fernandez, and we talk education, innovation, and everything in between. I want to welcome my guest, my brother from another mother. No, not really. Mr. James Burns, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
So I got to give you a proper introduction. So James is the Vice President of PGW.
Yes, PGW.
What does PGW stand for, first of all, and what do y'all do?
Okay, so PGW stands for Parking, Garage, and Warehouse Solutions. We started in 2016, mostly doing industrial and commercial LED lighting.
Okay.
So retrofits is where we started. Since then, we've kind of evolved, and now we do all kinds of different sustainability, energy reduction, which LED is obviously a big portion of that as well.
Let me ask this question, because
Okay.
when you hear LED, right, and I assume I'm a novice, what's the difference? Why is that such a big thing now, the transition to LED?
Yeah, I mean, they use significantly less electricity, first of all. They're brighter, they last longer. It's proven from a safety standpoint and a productivity standpoint that people perform better. They don't fall asleep. They just perform better when you have a brighter environment.
So obviously for schools, that would make a big difference because we're always trying to find the optimum environment for kids to learn.
Right.
And even in college, when you fell asleep in class, you wanted to blame that on the old school bulbs. But where we are now, how big of a transition are you seeing across the country to LED?
Yeah, I mean, businesses, everyone already knows what it is.
Right.
They're making that transition. A lot of people, they're replacing old lights with LEDs as they go out, which is not the most efficient way of doing things. But everyone sees the benefits of it, and most companies have made that migration. There's been a lot of different tax incentives and different types of programs set up to help people make the transition faster. We've got lighting as a service type offering that we offer here at PGW, where we can go in and we can do a full audit. We can see what the savings are going to be. And then if the savings are large enough, then we can actually come in and outfit your entire facility. Then you pay us through the savings. So
what is that typically called, right? Because I know what you're talking about in districts, school districts, that happens a lot. But for somebody that doesn't know, how is that verbalized?
It's like performance contracting.
Okay.
Yeah, we call it energy as a service, and you can do it with not just LEDs, but like HVAC, right? You can do it with all different types of energy savings. I mean, we've got a patented product that we call the voltage recycling system. It gets about 10% savings and builds efficiencies otherwise, where we can implement that solution as well. And if you're spending $1 million, you save $100. Instead of putting up front the capital, because I know money's tight with everybody right now. Yeah. So we can go and put up the upfront capital. We can outfit your entire facility. You get all the operational benefits of it, and then we take a percentage of the savings.
So let me ask you this. What type of entities do you work with? I know y'all are agnostic. It doesn't matter. You can help anybody, but give me some of your clients that you serve.
Sure. Mitsubishi, Caterpillar, Keurig Dr. Pepper, Niagara Bottling. I mean, these, big companies.
Right.
We're working on, projects with big utility type groups, Florida Power and Lighting. We're working with big construction groups like Quanta Services right now here in Houston. So we're really, just agnostic to who we can work with. And our solutions tend to translate, whether it's a hospital, whether it's a big industrial manufacturing, a school district. We're working with Sam Houston State right now on a water
Oh, the
project.
Bearcats.
Yeah. Old alma mater.
I told you that was the reason I was asleep in class.
Yeah, they were
'cause
like, "You're the guy that fell asleep." Like,
we've been trying to rectify this for 25 years now, so we figured we might as well do it
yeah,
now.
I was like, "Well, you need some LEDs." So,
So how does this translate to K-12, right? And what do you see the benefits? I mean, obviously you said money's tight, and whether it's tight or not, we're always going to say it's tight. You know that if you've
Sure.
been working with the public sector. So what do you see as the advantages for a school district or a university system in particular?
well, I do know, just one of the biggest costs for school districts is going to be electricity.
Right.
Right. And some of the easy low hanging fruit you can do is an LED retrofit. Right. And so there's those opportunities there. There's HVAC, which we can offer as a service as well. There's benefits there. There's leaks happening all the time that you may not be aware of. And you're paying money and just throwing it out the window. So there's a lot of things you can do to tighten things up. And if you don't have the cash to do it, there's very creative ways of getting it, from low interest loans to, there's grants available
Sure.
right now from the federal government to go make these types of improvements. So we keep ourselves well versed on taxes, on grants, and availability of all these things, and just offer it to our clients and help guide them through the process.
So everybody's ears perked up. Any educator that's watching, right? When you said federal grant to get some stuff done, can you talk a little bit about that grant and like what it is and how it might help some schools?
Sure. There's grants right now. There's a big push for electrification of fleets.
Sure.
People are looking at, okay, does it make sense to replace our diesel buses with electric buses when they go out, right? So there's grants right now for electrification of your fleets. There's grants available right now for HVAC improvements.
So off camera earlier, you were telling me a little bit about a solar grant, something that may impact school districts as well as a great opportunity. Can you explain a little bit more in depth?
Oh, yeah. So there's a lot of different assets available starting in 2023 this year that were included in the Inflation Reduction Act.
Okay.
Right. And so when that bill was passed, it's still going through, they're still trying to comb through everything.
Sure.
Still. But one of the special provisions in there where historically, groups that didn't pay taxes like municipalities and, public schools, they wouldn't qualify for these because they don't pay taxes. Right. So starting in 2023, they made certain types of assets available where you can get a dollar for dollar tax credit. That includes solar. It includes battery. It includes combined heat and power. It includes all different types of assets that you can go get a dollar for dollar credit now.
Wow.
And one of the cool things is the minimum credit you should be able to receive is 30%, right?
That's the
And
minimum.
That's dollar for dollar.
Okay.
That's the minimum. Then you get little kickers, little boosters that you can.
Is this the catches? There was always a catch to the grants.
Yeah. Well, there's an extra 10% kicker that you can get by using American-made products.
Okay.
So if we come in and say we want to build resiliency, from the grid when it goes down.
Right. That never happens in Texas, but
No, never. So, but if you want to build resiliency from the grid failing or just lower cost or whatnot, you can build, what's called a microgrid or a virtual power plant. And so that includes solar, that includes some kind of storage like a battery,
Right.
Would include possibly even gas generation. And these microgrids there, say, they cost, I don't know, I'll just throw something out there, $50 million.
Okay.
That's a lot of money to put up front, right?
Sure.
And so the government on these types of assets now is giving you a dollar for dollar credit up to 50% off of these microgrids. And and it's direct pay. So you would just file taxes as if you were a public company, and then you would get a dollar for dollar grant, or not grant, but dollar for dollar tax credit the very next year.
So I'm going to ask what most superintendents are going to ask, right? If they're offered this opportunity, hey man, will y'all write the grant for us so we don't have to write the grant and we just want to get the reward?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've got all kinds of partnerships and resources that are available that specialize in this type of thing. So absolutely, we can help. We can write it. We can help guide you through the entire process. We could write the grant. I mean, we want to make it easy for you because this isn't your expertise. This is what we do.
Sure.
And so we know if it's not your expertise, things could linger out, and there's only a set amount of dollars for these types of credits. Granted, it goes out till 2032, but there's only a set amount of money. So
you want to be first in on grants,
just to help
always.
expedite things.
Always.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk water because water is a problem, and I didn't know how how critical water was in the state of Texas. And I give a shout out to two of my colleagues from Answer Advisory, Carlos Rubenstein and Robert Sheets, who have this understanding like nobody's business. From a water perspective, how would you help an entity save, cut back, utilize all of those things that are really going to hit us hard in Texas pretty soon?
Yeah, I mean, from anything from water stewardship programs, we can help guide through the process. Of course, everyone's looking at like high efficiency toilets and, sinks and all kinds of things like that. But I'll ask you this. Did you know every time you pay your water bill every month, did you know you're paying about 20% of that in air?
What?
Yeah. So you see the amount of gallons that you're getting, and roughly about 20% of what you're paying for, the gallons used, is air.
What? So explain that. What does air have to do with anything with
It
that?
has to do with pressure.
Okay.
And so outside you have a water meter, right, that the city or municipality is measuring
Right.
how much they're sending you, and then they bill you accordingly. Every time you flush a toilet or open a valve, that pressure then drops. And as the pressure drops, it's going through the meter, and that meter is not reading just water. It's reading total volume. And so as the pressure drops, that total volume includes air.
Okay.
And so, yeah, you're getting billed. And that's one of the things we can help guide our customers through too is, how do we make your water the most efficient, by compressing that air out of the system before the meter, so you're not paying for air.
So it's possible to do that, like just with.
Oh yeah, we do it. We do it on residential. We'll do multifamily.
I was about to say, can I have one?
Hospitals.
Can I have one at the house? Because
Yeah.
we bought a new house, and man, the bills. I was like, man, what size house do people think I have? Do the electric companies think I have? Because clearly they are overestimating the size of this house because it's been astronomical in utilities.
Oh yeah, and the city of Houston announced at least till 2026 that there's going to be a 15% increase year over year off the cost of water.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I mean, it's just the price is going up. People's usage is going up, and same with electricity. And so, actually, one of our coworkers, our CFO, wanted to try this out, and so he put it, our system on his house, reduced it 33%. Funny thing is, though, he's still spending more, but by reducing the consumption, he can look to see what he would have spent.
Right.
So
it didn't help him. They didn't back up.
Well, it basically just levelized his cost, to last year, right? And so it's just because the rate's going up. But the thing you can't control what you're going to be charged.
Right.
You can control your usage, though. And so by taking the air out or compressing the air, not taking it out, to where your meter's only reading water and none of that air, you're lowering your consumption on your bill by 20%, which means whatever they decide to charge you, it's going to be lesser than.
Wow.
So
That's pretty amazing. And it's going to come to a point, I think, if it hasn't already, where homeowners are going to be looking for every avenue that is they're probably already available to big companies, right? But now it's gotten to the point everything is so tight financially. Every cost saving measure that you can possibly do, people are thinking about, and utilities is a huge one. So that's interesting. I had never even considered any of that. Didn't know anything about the water pressure in the air. Water comes out, we use too much, turn the water off. All those things you tell your kids, your family.
And those tax incentives I talked about earlier, those ITC, that could be for residential as well.
Huh?
Yeah.
If I was ever going to run for the president of my homeowners association, maybe I'd just drop that on all my neighbors and say, "Hey guys, let's save us some money." But
or if you didn't want to do that on your house, you can do what's called community solar, where the communities get together and then they buy into solar. That's either on site or off site in a field somewhere, and then that produces, and you get what's called an energy credit on your bill.
Okay.
So you still get credit for using the solar that you're paying for. It's just not on your house.
Right.
So there's all kinds of different.
You could reduce your cost, even if it's not a direct link of what you're using, what you're consuming.
Right.
Okay, James, I want to transition real quick because obviously this is a show about education, innovation, and how it all applies. So you've obviously got a ton of knowledge and some vast experience working with a variety of entities. If I'm a high school senior graduating, or I'm in my first year of college and I'm trying to figure out what it is I want to do, what is the advice you give the skills that they need for your industry, your type of work? I mean, obviously you got to have some knowledge, and obviously you got to be able to work with folks. But can you just dial down, like, what would you be looking for an employee?
So yeah, that's a good question. There's really no one size fit all.
Okay.
I would say the type of person that I'm looking for is somebody that's going to go be a student for life. Like
What does that mean, though? Because we always say that in education. You're not a educator by trade, so I want you to explain what that means to you.
yeah. So what that means to me is whatever it is that I'm doing, I just want to be able to add to and contribute in some way, right? And so I try to learn. I try to pick up on things every single day about the industry. I mean, if there's something comes up on the news or if something I'm reading about and I don't know what it is,
Right.
then I may spend an entire weekend just reading about it, learning about it. And that way, our industry, we're kind of on the forefront. And I'm not talking about me or my company,
Sure.
PGW. I'm saying we're at the very beginning stages of a major transition here on the energy side of things. And so people are still trying to figure it out. And so if you just kind of be a sponge and just absorb everything that's going on right now and try to project the best that you can of where it's going, which is very hard. That's the chess game, right? But just try to just learn as much as you can about it. And then when you do meet with people and bring that kind of knowledge to the table and people can see you as a resource, they tend to want to keep you around in business.
Yeah.
Like even if I don't have anything to sell them right now, but I bring some kind of
You
knowledge.
add value. Yeah, value
just
add.
add value is
Yep.
just having me around. Eventually, we're going to find a way, find some kind of synergies, find some way to do business together because we're all just kind of learning this together. So, as far as going back to I would just say network, man. Like,
What does that look like, though? Because we all say that, and I get a little frustrated with the way we share information in education. It's a lot of great speeches and great motivation, but when we say network, like I want to push on, what does that mean? Like if I'm 19, how do I go act on that?
So be ambitious. Figure out a way. Go cut grass. Go cut lawns. Go wait tables. One of the best things I did at an early age,
Right.
learning how to deal with the public, which is can be very difficult. Go wait tables, and you'll understand you'll start learning how people are and how they react to certain things. If you're slow, you're going to get a slower or a smaller tip.
Right.
If you give great service and you communicate, then you're going to get a better tip. You may even meet somebody and you give exceptional service. You don't ever know who you're going to meet, right? And you may meet somebody who could, help shape the future of your career, your life. So it's just being open to that and realizing there's opportunities everywhere, and just kind of keep your eyes open and your ears open and look for those opportunities. And when they're there, be prepared to react.
I want to quickly follow up on something, and we know each other obviously, and I think we both talked about we've had career transitions, career changes, and now that's going to be the norm for all workforce, right? Particularly our young generation. When you change careers and there's a lot to learn, right? How do you go about being valuable, even though you may not have the knowledge, you don't have the experience, you're still learning the ropes? How do you add value?
Man, you just have to do it. I mean, you have to just submerge yourself in it. I spent the majority of my career in healthcare.
Right.
Went into pharma, went into medical, and working for big companies is great. There's a lot of good benefits, and they give you everything you need, right? And this is something I tell people all the time is they give you everything, all this marketing material. They tell you how to go to market. I mean, they step by step.
Right.
But the problem for me is I don't really learn that way by you just giving me a bunch of information. I have to go do it. Right. And so the biggest.
Say that again. Say exactly what you said one more time.
So I could sit here and read everything that you've given me. Right. And you can tell me you taught me everything I need to know, but I got to go do it for it to really resonate with me, to really make sense, to really learn. And, I'll kind of expand on that a little bit. I've transitioned out of healthcare and now business owner of a company that does, resiliency, sustainability, completely different sector.
Right.
And in the beginning, I didn't know what I was talking about, and for me, that's a problem, so all our marketing material, everything we do now, everything I've learned, I've read books, I've met with people, I've listened to what they had to say. I've had to relearn trigonometry, like I've had to do all these things, but it's me pushing myself to go learn.
Right.
And in my mind, I'm putting together how I'm going to take this to market, how I'm going to, build this into the things that I talk about every day. So instead of everything being given to me and them telling me, I have to figure out my own path. And in the last 2 years that I've been doing this, I feel like I've got a doctorate degree. I feel like we're meeting with some of the biggest clients, executives in the world right now, and I sit at the table and I talk toe to toe with them. And that's something that, like I mentioned earlier, just being a student,
Right.
And just getting out. Don't be scared. You go out and you meet with people, and just know you're going to mess up, and then you're going to learn, and then you're not going to mess up on that point again. But it's not being afraid of failure.
Yeah, that's critical, and that's something that we're trying to really work on in education, because everybody feels like everyone has to be on the honor roll. Everybody has to make. If you make a B or a D, or if you even fail, what's wrong? What's not happening? It's the teacher's fault. It's the curriculum's fault. It's the district's fault. No, failure is a part of the journey.
Yeah.
Failure is a part of learning, and it's critical that we build in failure and resilience and struggle and adversity into what we're doing for kids. And so you just dropped a bunch of pearls of wisdom there. The best part out of all of it was you said relearn trigonometry, and I'm like, man, I didn't even learn, much less relearn. Okay, I got one more ask, and this is something that I try to push and I thought was very valuable for my school district, and now that I'm on the private side, school districts anywhere. Let's say you were to win a contract with the school district, right? Providing services and expertise. If I, as the superintendent, said, hey, Mr. Burns, we appreciate it, but to enter into this contract, I need you to take on 2 of my seniors that are interested in sustainability or energy or whatever the coursework may be. I want them to intern with you over the life of this contract, whether it be a semester, a year. Could you do that? Would you do that? Even if you don't have the playbook right now, would you figure it out for that entity?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're trying to shape minds, right now as a future. And when I look back in high school, when I was getting ready to graduate, I had no clue what I was going to do. It was like you go to high school, then you kind of take the next step and go to college,
Right.
and you figure it out in college. And
Kind of, maybe.
yeah, I didn't even figure it out in college, man. Like I just had to go out and like you mentioned earlier, I had to go out, figure it out, waited tables, met people, networked, did jobs that I didn't want to do. But I did it, and I did it for long enough where you can get that experience, and then you go out and you figure out your own path, So being able to take on a couple students and kind of teach them, the business side of things, and how to hustle and how to fail.
Yeah.
But one of the things I learned early on is failure is a good thing if you use it as a tool. And one of my old vice presidents of sales stuck with me is like, get out there and fail fast.
Yeah.
Because law of averages tells you, if you succeed 1 out of every 10 times, then fail as fast as possible. And then once you fail 9 times, a success is getting ready to happen. But so many people are scared of that failure, and to be able to maybe take a couple students and watch the struggles, watch the hustle, watch the struggles, watch the failures, and then be right there when you succeed, and be able to, feel what that feels like, and then build on that. I mean, it can translate into just about anything they want to do, even if they don't want to do business. I mean, there's always some sort of negotiation, no
It's
matter what
transferable.
job you have. Yeah.
It's all transferable.
So you're learning good business skills, and me, I would love to do something like that, and to be able to help the community that we live in, and help serve in that way.
Well, I mean, I got news for you, because you just said it on camera. So somebody's going to probably hold you to that. Hey, man, you remember when you said that, 6 months ago? So you probably just set yourself up for that. But
Well, good. I bring it.
exactly, exactly. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show, is because that spirit right there, right? If we do more of that, we're going to eliminate the gap that everybody keeps complaining about. Business, there's not enough skilled workers. Education, hey, we're just trying to follow the curriculum. Well, there's a gap that we could eliminate if we started doing things a little differently. And part of the reason I wanted you to be on here is to talk a little bit about not only what you do, but why you do it and the path that
Right.
it takes. Because those are the critical points.
Yeah, and these kids are right. They're trying to find themselves, right? It's like, when you have kids, you try to put them in all these different sports. Let them learn all these different instruments. Let them try to figure it out what they want to do, and then they tend to gravitate towards something. But exposing them to as much as possible, and then watching them gravitate and then grow, right? And so, if I can be a tool or a mechanism to help, shape somebody's life and career path and down a direction that, will benefit them then and later in life, I mean, that's really what it's all about.
Okay, James, last question. I want to talk a little bit about innovation. So as a growing company, you've worked for major corporations, you've seen a varieties of leadership, and you're seeing the other side of leadership, right? The people that you serve, and you can get a little bit of insight into how they're leading. As a leader, how do you make sure you don't kill innovation? And what I mean by that is you've got new employees or veteran employees, and sometimes they have great ideas. And if there's so much red tape, if there's so much bureaucracy, if there's nobody to listen and kind of foster, sometimes those innovation sparks die, right? And I've seen it in schools, I've seen it in business, I've seen it everywhere. I've seen it with just being a parent. When your kids come to you with a great idea, sometimes you shoot it down because it's not your idea, or it's just too much effort to do it. How do you not kill that spark? And more importantly, how do you make sure the team that's helping you, your leadership teams, how do you make sure they're not killing those types of sparks?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, I'm kind of in a way a product of that. But I think it's important. I think diversity is important. People with different backgrounds, experiences, different, business backgrounds and such. And I'll give you an example is, being in a healthcare background where there's a lot of red tape.
Right.
You had to be very innovative in healthcare to be able to do business because of the red tape.
Sure.
Right. And then you go into an industry where there's maybe not much red tape at all, but being able to take innovation in one field that had to adapt in order to survive and utilize this in an industry where they really don't have red tape.
You're charting the path now.
It gives you a competitive advantage. And so you're able to take business models that have proven to be successful into a business that doesn't see those models or hasn't seen those models. And it's a real differentiator. And so I'm an example of that. And so just being open to people from, different experiences, different walks of life coming in and listening to them, listening to what they've done in the past, their successes, how they failed, and just an overall, that type of environment, and then being open, keeping an open mind. So many people are closed-minded these days. They're like, well, this is working, and we're not going to change. We're not even going to listen to potential change. And I think that's a recipe to end up like Blockbuster one day, right?
Yeah.
Because innovation, change, we're in a period of time right now where things are changing. You blink an eye and, we got cars that are driving itself, and next year they'll probably be flying,
That's right.
So you have to be open, and you have to know, things are changing. And if you don't adapt, if you don't go out and seek different opinions and different viewpoints, you're going to get left behind.
Quickly, and you don't have that rope anymore of 10
Right.
years, 20 years. We can ride it out before really any substantial change. Like that stuff is happening overnight.
Yeah.
And that's what scares me a little bit about education is we've got to learn to adapt quicker to the needs of the kids and to the needs of the workforce.
Right. And it's about framing your perspective, right? So, it is however you frame something, and that's how you perceive it. That's how it is reality for you, right? I heard that old adage is like, you send two guys to a third world country that sells shoes, and one guy comes back and he goes, there's no business opportunity here. Nobody wears shoes. Then the next guy comes back, he goes, there's tons of opportunity. Nobody wears shoes.
Right.
So frame it, be optimistic and look for opportunities. And by doing that, that tends to lead to innovation, right? So, I mean,
No, it's a great answer. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate your time. It was a learning experience for me because
Yeah.
I knew you did this, but I didn't know to the depth and all of the people that you're working with. And so, for everybody that's listening and watching, and we'll put James's information and PGW's information in the link. So if you have some needs that are centered on sustainability, LED lights, so you don't sleep in college classes, we'll make sure that gets on there. So thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Rick. Appreciate it.
Produced by Podcast Architects.